All right, another day, another workout. This is our one-armed workout phase, recovering from the distal bicep tear repair surgery. I am close to 5 weeks out from surgery, 5 weeks post-op. So today is chest, back, abs, and a little bit of vacuum posing work, all on the left side only. Very minimal work. I'm not doing a whole lot of chest and back right now because I don't want to be too disproportional, but I also don't want to atrophy too much. Being as I can't use my right arm very well, I can't really get a good lift in my chest and back on my right side. So my left side, I'm going to do a little bit, um, just to kind of keep things moving and keep things preventing atrophy as much as I can. So I'm going to very quickly run through a chest and back workout with the one side, and then I'm going to do some abs, which I don't normally do. I throw them in kind of wherever I have time, but I now, since I have a little bit more time, I add them in more often. And then I do some vacuum posing work. Vacuum posing is when you see bodybuilders and they can suck their stomach in and almost stick their ribs out. So I'm working on that. When I was like 10 pounds leaner, because I was able to train everything, I was getting pretty decent at vacuum posing. So now, if I can just kind of train the muscle group to stay on top of it when I get leaner again, it'll be that much easier. So, with that said, we're going to start with some chest fly, high to low kind of movement. Using my cable attachment here. I go high to low and then I'll switch to low to high. I don't have super great research on that. I like doing it that way when I can afford to. Usually, when I'm doing two hands, though, I don't really have the setup here to do two hands. So I usually am just kind of sticking with dumbbell flies and things like that when I'm at home. It's Saturday morning. Sure, the whole world is up and at 'em and ready to get after their workouts. Already did cardio this morning. The rest of the day I can chill with the fam. I don't know why I took that off. I got basketball with the older one today. First day ever for him, so we'll see what that looks like. See, me and my family, we are not genetically predisposed to be excellent basketball players, as I'm one of the tallest ones at 5'9". So I think it's just a hobby for him. I don't think there's a bright future in it, but hey, he is 7, so if he likes it, we'll do it. So if you see when I'm doing my chest, I kind of keep my elbow in a fixed position. I'm kind of moving through that movement, focusing on squeezing the chest. And when I go high to low, I kind of start a little bit behind me at high. When I bring it down to low, I'm bringing it back in front of me. I just feel better squeezed that way. Put my hand in my pocket so I don't use it. Old electrician's trick. When they're working on live circuits, they put their hand in their pocket so they don't touch anything and ground themselves so they get electrocuted. My hand's just out of the way if I put it in my pocket, so. And I'm less likely to grab something reactionary. But like as I showed you yesterday, if I feel like I'm starting to push my hand in this area, I might start to like ground myself or push or pull or do something like that, I'll put it out in the air to prevent me from hurting myself even further. All right, now we'll move it to go from low to high. So we'll do another chest fly, this time going from low to high. Check my weight here. I'm gonna bring it down a little. And we'll give it a shot. This might be the weight I want. Oh yeah, that's heavy. We can stick with that for 2 more rounds though. So I've been home on workers' comp since the injury happened. Getting ready to go back here soon, hopefully. Hopefully the doc clears me. I feel like I've done a good job using my time, doing some research, doing some self-care, rehabbing as little as I can, and spending the time with the family. So it's been a good use of the time. People keep asking me if I'm bored and can't wait to get back to work. I mean, yes, but also I am excited to get back to work. I'm not bored. I've been able to fill my time, but I'm just so focused on recovery, keeping my nutrition tight, keeping my training tight so that I don't lose too much. Hopefully, once I get the green light from the doctor, I can hit it running, get back on the trail to hopefully get back on stage again. It's so frustrating. I was so close. Oh well. Yeah. So for low to high, it's kind of the same thing. Try and keep my elbow fixed. It's natural just to let it swing a little bit and extend your elbow. Give you a little bit of a bicep pull there too. But at the end, you'll see I kind of do my best to turn my pinky out and get a real good squeeze in that pec. Even when I would do both, probably be the same thing. Usually though, you're limited in your range of motion when you're doing two because your hands are coming close together, or you're gonna come up with this problem of trying to find out which hand should go on top. So doing one at a time is an interesting thing. Changes your center of gravity, kind of keeps it harder. If I were to do this like on purpose and healthy, I'd probably hold on to the rack so that I can keep myself balanced. But for now, we'll just go a little lighter, focus on the squeeze. And again, the goal here is not to grow, not to gain on the left side as I'm training one arm at a time. The goal is to not lose as much, prevent as much atrophy as possible. But when it comes to legs, it's time to grow on them babies. All right, what's next? Next up, one arm dumbbell bench, which I have never and will never do if I'm healthy. I am a bench press specialist. I thoroughly enjoy my bench press. Always have. ever since I was in 8th grade and started lifting. Always been a strong bencher. Again, genetic predisposed to do so. 5'9", big chest, short arms, big arms. When I was in 7th grade, my brother told me that I should start doing 100 push-ups a night since I wasn't ready to lift yet, because talking to my health teachers and different people then, they said it would stunt your growth, which I've come to find out is BS. So I was doing 100 push-ups a night. I'd be watching TV, and they had these things back then called commercials, which I'm not sure if our current generation is, especially with my children. There's no more patience for commercials anymore. So during commercials, I would knock out as many push-ups as I can, watch the show. So about one show, it would take me to do 100 push-ups. I got to my point in high school where I was doing 73 in a run without taking a break, which was like a class record. I'm sure people can beat that. But it worked out for me. My first time maxing out as an 8th grader going to football workouts, I was the 3rd strongest on the team. I was benching 265. Now my squat was like 185. But again, working on bench over the years, I was the first kid in my class to hit 315. I did 385 as a senior before football season. So 11th grade into 12th grade as a summer student. At 385, I was pushing real hard to beat my brother's record of 405. At 385, I was only like 210 pounds. Trained for football, had football season. Between football and lacrosse that year, I benched 415. And I was really pissed because during football season, there was an article in the newspaper from a kid from Philadelphia inner city. He hit 405, and they put up this big article about how strong he was. And I was like, man, that kid's got like 100 pounds on me, and I was this close. I failed 405 a couple of times in training trying to get there. So yeah, in high school, I hit 405. In college training, I was in the low fours. And then after that, it sort of blew up from there. Once I stopped playing college football and focused on lifting, I was in the 400s. And then over the summer before I started powerlifting, one summer, I started powerlifting and I got 479 in a meet at 275 weight class, won my class, won a sword as an award. That was pretty cool. And then a week later, my brother came down and I hit 500 in the gym, and then just kept staying on it, kept training hard, focused on bench. Hit 550 that summer. And then in training for the following summer to do a competition, I hit 585 at home about 3 weeks out from that competition here on this rack with no spotter. I have a video. I went out to my wife and said, if you hear a crash and I don't respond, call 911. You're my spotter. And then I shut the door and I came in at 585. Felt amazing. Everything went good. I was about 315 pounds at the time. So I hit that. And then in my meet, I wanted 600, and I was training for 600 the whole time. In my meet, on my 3rd attempt, I hit 570, which was a record for that weight class, for that state, for that time. It's since been broken. And then since I won a state record, I was able to try a 4th time, and I tried 580, and I tweaked my pec on the way up, so shut it down then. And let me lift this because I'm talking too much. Ugh. Ugh. So I hit 580. that day I weighed in at 322. I'm sorry, I hit 570. That day I weighed in at 322. And I had a small injury. That whole time I was training, there was a guy, and I forget his name. I really need to look up the name. The whole time I was training for 600, I saw a guy incline benching in the fours, and he completely tore his pec. And it was a very gruesome video. So that was all that was playing in my head while I was preparing for 600. So that might have held me back some. But I end up at that meet having a state record, having a number I wanted. I beat my brother. I did all the things I wanted to do, except for 600. And I had a tweaked pec. At that point in my career, powerlifting, I had no major surgeries. I was way out of shape. I hated the way I looked. I hated the way I felt. Very unhealthy. And I was like, you know what? This might be my limit. So I kind of stopped then, went and refocused on this bodybuilding thing. We're about 2.5 years from that. I'm down close to 100 pounds, way leaner. My strength, I don't even know. I haven't maxed out in a long time. I'm not really concerned about the max out because the injury, and also this injury is kind of a freak thing. It's not really lifting related at all. So I'm still knocking on wood and saying I haven't had any lifting related injuries. So we'll carry that over as a trophy as well. We'll keep the weights light, focus on health and longevity, try and get this waistline down. Because I'm going much lighter in weight and kind of resetting everything, I haven't had a need for all the wrist wraps and straps and sleeves and all that. I've been okay. I wish I could wear my knee sleeves when I train legs, but because of my bicep, I can't really. They're very hard to put on. Because of my bicep, I can't really pull it on. That would be treacherous. So I've just kind of gone without, been very mindful of my lifting, warmed up a lot more. So sounds like some drama upstairs. But hey, we get a little bit better every single day. Whoa. All right, so that's one arm dumbbell bench press. Next, I'm moving to back. I'm going to do one arm lat pull in, which is not an exercise I like at all, other than injury time. It's especially tricky loading weights with one arm because it's just 2.5, it's just 5, it's just 10 pounds. In the past, just grab it with one hand, rearrange the clips and things with the other, do what I got to do. All right, that was way too easy. I'm going to grab another pair of 10s. All right. Last set of these. I've always been a bigger fan of like the bent over rows and rowing sort of movement for back development as opposed to the pull downs. Obviously, complementing all of them together is the best way to go. But being a former athlete and a coach of high school athletes, primarily football players, I've always felt a row brings a whole lot more complete exercise than the pull downs. But again, a complement of all of them is the best. I've always had issues with in a high school weight room that typically only has like one, maybe two pull down machine type deals, and maybe a couple cables that you could use. Always having an issue with a log jam there of what equipment wise what you can use. So I've always preferred the bent over row movement. There's usually an abundance of bars and deadlift and squat and bench areas that you can use. And then for football players, I've always been a proponent of the pen lay row. Woo! Light flashed before my eyes. The pen lay row, where you're pulling a row from the floor, just kind of gives a better center of gravity for any lineman training or linebackers or people who are trying to get low in their body positioning. I've always felt that was more advantageous. Ooh, another one. Got quick feet, can't get me. Just things that I picked up over the years of training for sports and listening to strength coaches around the country and going to clinics and talking to college football strength coach and different things I picked up. Let's try not to drop these on my foot again. I wonder how much, like, just in everyday use, how much stronger my left hand has gotten. Am I more ambidextrous now? I don't know. We'll have to see once I'm healthy. All right, next up I got, let's see, I did 60. I'm going to do one arm row. I've always, I wish I enjoyed training back more. I wish I obsessed over that. I've always kind of taken the things that I'm weak in, other than bench, because I've always been obsessed with bench, and kind of made them my priority by obsessing over them. So coming out of college, like I said before, my bench was always good, my squat was not. So then I took a bunch of time and really focused on squat, tried to find a way to enjoy squat more. Got to the point where I was squatting close to 700 for a 1 rep max. That was going pretty well. And then I had a hamstring pull from playing some flag football. And that kind of shut me down. And then I started to obsess over deadlift just mechanically. Really enjoyed that. And then I had an abductor pull of some sort going into my first powerlifting meet where I was hoping to do a full meet. And then really shied away from that, focused on bench. So it's been a rotation of focus on my different lifts over the years. I guess now it's time to focus on body parts, and I have been. I guess more so the last year I've been focusing more on weight loss and not really growth, more maintenance and weight loss. But now it's been about prevention of atrophy, and it will be about recovery from injury and trying to get that muscle memory to bring back the arm and the whole right upper body side once I'm ready for it. It's a shame because I spent all this time at home. Spend all this time at home where I'm researching and looking at videos and watching people train. So many fun things I want to try, but none of it I really can because I only have one arm working. Next up, I think we got upright row. One arm upright row. I'm going to cut all these transitions. Maybe I won't. I'll just keep it as one fluid video so I can get it uploaded faster. Whew, man. Close. I think after this, I only have abs and vacuum. Yep. Ooh. So, for training abs, everyone wants to know how to get a six-pack. And everyone who knows, who's in the fitness industry or follows anyone who trains seriously and has a little bit of research behind them, knows that abs don't really come from doing millions of crunches every day. Abs come from getting your diet tuned up, getting it dialed in, and losing fat. But if you train abs, you strengthen your core, you strengthen your abs, it helps with all of your other lifts. So mine's more of a functional training, not so much the aesthetic. I don't train abs to make them look good. It helps. But it's not the end all be all. You could get away with not training abs at all, and if your diet, cardio, and training is right, you can have the best physique, the best abs imaginable. There are tons, thousands of good ab exercises, but in my research and usage, there's only 3 real exercises that actually get you there. And that's leg raises, which I'm about to do. And there's kind of 2 variations I would go off of that. Crunches, and again, a more modified crunch than what some people probably do lazily in their house. And then the third one is what we call Russian twists. So for leg raises, I like to lay on a bench, like right on the edge of my butt, my legs hanging straight out in front of me. I can't now, but in a perfect world, I would hold the bench above my head with both hands so I can squeeze. So exercise 1 would be just taking the legs from parallel to the floor and up about 90 degrees. That's what I'm going to do today. So obviously holding on to the bench prevents you from swinging so much, but I can't really squeeze and hold on the bench with my right arm. The other alternative that I really like to do, and this really saves you on reps, same thing, lay down, hold on the bench, but you'll pick your butt up off the pad and kind of be on your shoulder blades. Let's see if I can do it. And from there, I can't do it with one arm, but like you get up on your shoulder blades and try and arch your back so that your legs and your butt are straight out in front of you. So again, your butt is not on the pad. So the goal is to try and pull your legs up while keeping your shoulder blades on the pad and your butt off the pad, and then bring your legs down. 5 reps of that is like, it's pretty much all I would do, is like 3 sets of 5 on that. And that is treacherous. But again, can't do that right now. So I'll just stick to what I'm doing. So those 2 variation of leg raises. And there's also obviously where if you can do hanging leg raises, that's a good one too. So that works like the lower part of your core, brings in your hip flexors, your hips, and the bottom couple abs, as well as crunching the top ones. So that's exercise 1. I got 2 more sets. So again, there are tons of different variations of abs you can do. They're all effective to a point. But I feel like these 3, if you're trying to minimize your training time and focus on other areas, or keep your training under an hour, which is all you really need, and you're just trying to squeeze in abs wherever you can, those 3 are the big ones. I usually try and do 1 per day and add it into another workout. And that way I'm not having an ab day, but I'm kind of keeping them going every day. But now as my training has changed, I add them all into this one day and try and sprinkle them in where I can elsewhere. All right, last one. All right, so the next exercise is a basic crunch. You'll see a bunch of different variations of this even. So the one that I do and the one that I like to bring my feet off the ground and try and get my knees and my hips to close to 90 degrees. I'll cross my arms in front of my chest and I'll crunch up until my elbows hit my thighs, then I'll go back down. I'm not going to lay all the way flat and let everything disengage. I'm just going to come down until my shoulder blades touch and then come back up. Ooh, cramp. So again, knees and hips at 90, arms crossed across the chest, elbows touch the thighs, go back down until your shoulder blades touch, and that's one. And it's a very simple movement, but it keeps your core engaged the whole time. It doesn't relax you, and it doesn't reset you. So this you should be able to crank out if you're in pretty good shape. 30, 40, 50 of these in a set. 3 sets of those. Let's get into it. Whoa. And normally I would say do them on the floor, but it's a little harder to get off the floor with my injury, so I'm going to cheat and lay on the bench. And sure, a sit-up would do a lot more, but I feel like once you move past that point at the top of the sit-up, when the gravity is no longer pushing down against your abdominals and it's more supporting you, if anything, like from the middle to the top, it's not as difficult. Whereas a crunch going from just off the floor till about 45, 60 degrees and then back down, that's the hardest part anyway. So keeping that engagement, keeping that constant movement makes it a little trickier. So I prefer crunches. Your time under tension is more because you're stuck in that phase of the movement and you just keep going. So 3 sets, 30 to 50 reps, depending on what shape you're in there. Should pretty much do it. Ooh. Now, as a strength coach and a football coach, I like to throw in all those different variations to keep kids entertained, keep them focused, keep them excited, keep them moving. Like to throw in different variations of pyramids and partner workouts and competitions, you versus you, me versus you sort of thing. One that they like, and I've done a lot of recently, was I'll have them compete and say you and your partner, between the two of you, need to get, I don't know, 400 reps of crunches. So whoever goes first, the second person is going to try and beat them. So if the first person does 30, the second one's got to do 31 or more. And they'll just keep trading back and forth until we hit 400. First group that wins, they get to go get a water break, and everyone else has to do 50 more or whatever. So finding small competitions like that, if you have a workout partner, a workout group, you can do those amongst your smaller group or amongst the whole team. It makes it a lot more energizing and competitive. Whew. All right, so the final exercise we call Russian twist. I don't know where I got that name. That's where I always called them. So ideally, you'd be on the floor and you'd lean back so your feet up off the floor and you're in this sort of position on the floor. I'm going to do them on the bench again. Easier for me to get up. So when you're there, you're going to, ideally you would take a medicine ball or a plate, but a medicine ball works best. You take that medicine ball and you'll twist and you'll tap it, not bounce it, but tap it on the floor and then come back across. Tap it on the floor come back across, and that counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You should be able to get, again, if you're in good shape, about 30. And the trickier part is have that ball. Do not slam, do not bounce, lightly tap, but stare at the ball the whole time. That keeps your body, your core tighter, keeps your eyes and your body engaged. As long as you keep your feet off the ground, it's a killer. That'll hit your obliques. That'll hit all the sides of your core. All these hit all your abs, but these will hit your obliques a little bit more since you're doing that twisting motion. I am not weight bearing in my hands, so I'm just going to do this. And if you're brand new, maybe you try it this way first. I'm going to be on a bench. So I'm going to twist over, watching my hands the whole time. I'm going to get my feet up off the ground. Again, ideally, you'd want to sit on the floor, lean back until your feet come off the floor. The floor is nice to have because it gives you a baseline to get to every single time. So I can't like shorten the stride here, but then go all the way to the floor here. If you're going to the floor with a tap, it keeps you consistent. You're not favoring one side over the other like I probably am. So 3 sets, 30 to 50 reps, depending on what kind of shape you're in. And that should be it for ab day. Interesting muscle group, the abs. You can work them every single day, just like your push-ups, your abs, your calves. Some muscle groups you can hit every single day, just because the muscle fibers in there are a little different, and the way you use them are a little different. And since it's not weight bearing, it's not a tremendous overload. It's more of an endurance deal, so you can do them every day. Push-ups are another one that I say you can do every day. I'm different. But since it's not weight bearing and it's body weight, more of an endurance thing, I just wouldn't do them on like a big bench day. If you're looking to max out, I wouldn't do them the day before, day after, but you can do push-ups every single day in my opinion. All right, one more set of those and I'll get into vacuum. So vacuum is more specific for bodybuilders, but if you're trying to tighten your waist a little, this might help. Other than that, I'm pretty well cleaned up here. So I'll just do this last set, my vacuums, and then I'm done for the day. And it's only, what, 9:30? Wonderful Saturday morning. All right. So again, vacuum posing. That's where we are trying to suck our gut, kind of turn our abs in, and you're trying to put your belly button against the inside of your spine. So you'll see bodybuilders who are hitting a front abdominal pose where they're doing that and they're sucking their gut in. They can really tuck their kind of their stomach area into their ribs, into their abs, putting their belly button against the inside of their spine. So there's 4 exercises that I've used to try and help me get there a little further. So the first one, I'll sit and I'll just suck in and hold for like 20 seconds. The next one, or no, I'll lay down on my back and try and use gravity a little bit to push my belly button into my spine. I'll kind of push that in. I'll put my hands on there so I can feel it. The next one, I'll sit and do the same, and then I'll kind of do a 3/4 hunched over a platform and do the same. And then I'll stand up like the front abdominal pose and I'll do the same. So every time I do one, again, I'm putting my hands on it so I can feel my stomach, and I'll squeeze for 20 seconds. And when you squeeze, you're sucking in, but then you're also contracting those muscles, trying to contract them in. And then you release and do 3 rounds of that at each station, I guess. Whew. All right, last one. So that's the first round. Second one, I do sitting or kneeling, kneeling on like my heels. But I'll kind of feel for my bottom rib and put the bottom of my hand at my waist and kind of feel everything tuck up and in. Oh, it's a good little test of your breathing too. See how long you can hold your breath. If you're bodybuilding, doing some pose work, this breath work might help too. All right, next one, you're kind of hunched over a platform. And this was the exercise I did to notice that my forearm was much smaller than the other. That's one. All right, one more. All right. Let's swap out my headphones here. Sounds like my kids are right above me. All right, so for this one, get my arms above me, kind of like I'm doing an abdominal thigh pose. if this is gonna hurt. I'll see if I can give you an angle to look at for this vacuum. So, as you can see, my ribs at the bottom here, I'm not quite there yet. I got some weight to lose, but that would be vacuum posing. All right, thanks for joining me today for chest, abs, and back on my one arm phase on my left side. We'll be back tomorrow with quads, which is a heavier day, so I'm excited for that. I'm going to do some posing work, as little as I can do, but I'm going to do some of that, not for everyone to see, because I got a lot of work to do. All right, see you tomorrow.